So tomorrow is National Signing Day. This used to be one of the biggest deals in college football. It's still a big deal, don't get me wrong. But now with this early signing period that we have in December as well, doing that going on 8 years now. The traditional signing period, the first week of February, isn't quite the same. It's kind of like the rest of the best, if you will. Most guys already know where they're going. School's got guys, locked in, ready to go until they hit the next transfer portal. That's how it is now. But there's still some good players out there that are going to be making some of the biggest decisions of their lives, and some of those players are connected to Big Ten schools, so I thought we'd take a look at it here. So, all the announcements that we are expecting Wednesday. Let's start with offensive tackle Ty Haywood from Denton, Texas. He's huge, 6'5". He's, depending on your rating service, a 4-star, 5-star. Most people have him as a 5-star. And it's looking like Michigan has the best opportunity to close this deal, and that would really be an exclamation point on the recruiting class. Now, he said back in the summer he was going to go to Alabama. But when December came along in the early signing period, he didn't sign. And then he decommitted in January. And he's trending Michigan. Michigan got a late visit from him. But there's some uncertainty out there. Keep an eye out at Florida State or Texas Tech. But this would be a great get for Sherrone Moore, just the final closing of the deal in this recruiting class. And this class already includes the number one recruit in the country in quarterback Bryce Underwood, who flipped from LSU at the last second before signing in December. And I think that has effect on players. Players like Haywood that might be on the fence between a couple of schools here and there. You got a quarterback that's the number one guy in the country that's committed. That's gonna sway some people. So Ty Haywood, he's the biggest name out there that we'll be listening for on Wednesday. Other players, edge rusher Zahir Mathis from Philadelphia, another 4-star, 5-star guy, 6'5". Longtime Ohio State recruit. This is one that they didn't lock up. They did not close. And he reopened his commitment in the fall. Michigan couldn't get this guy. Couldn't really get in on it when he dropped out of Ohio State. It's Maryland seems to be the clubhouse leader here. Mike Loxley, this would be a great get for him. He needs it. Also, Virginia Tech making a late push. Florida State and UCLA have been mentioned. UCLA, another Big Ten school. But Maryland got him in for like a late visit. So last impression might be a factor here. Not necessarily going to make an announcement Wednesday from what we hear. So I don't know if this is going to linger or not. There's linebacker AJ Tuitele from Las Vegas. He signed with Washington State. Got out of his agreement at the end of December, coaching change, choosing between Texas and USC now. That's weird. Usually you see guys being recruited by certain schools, groups of schools. Washington State's usually not lumped in with Texas and USC. So I don't know if he was starting to head to Washington State and then got wind that maybe he could get a better deal, a better school at USC or Texas. I mean, USC and Texas battle for players, but usually not Washington State. There's offensive lineman Peter Lange. He signed with Washington back in December. He got out of that deal. Just thought it'd be a better fit somewhere else, and they let him out of his deal. Looking like Arizona, maybe. So there are a lot of recruiting services out there. One of them I'll throw out there, 24/7. 24/7 Sports, they have ranked this recruiting class of 2025. They got, I'll share it with you. They got Texas at number 1, Georgia at number 2, and then Ohio State, the highest ranked Big Ten team on the list, at number 3. And again, Ohio State never slips. They're always top 3, top 4, top 5. Don't forget Tavian St. Clair coming in. That's exciting. They got loaded at quarterback with young quarterbacks. We just talked about Julian saying that Tavian St. Clair is coming too. Another 5-star. Alabama at 4. Oregon, another Big Ten team. They're at number 5. So 2 teams from the Big Ten to the top 5. Auburn 6. Michigan, good recruiting class at number 7. I think it a year ago, this was starting out, 2025 is starting out slowly, but Sherrone Moore, Michigan, solid at number 7. Bryce Underwood doesn't hurt your rankings at all. Again, don't underestimate the ability of him being there, having other players gravitate to Michigan as well. Florida at number 8, Texas A&M 9, and LSU rounding out the top 10. In 2026 news, Wisconsin in-state offensive lineman from 2026, Sam Simpson, not going to Wisconsin. That's a loss for them. Going to another Big Ten school, Kurt Signetti, Indiana. That's a good get for the Hoosiers. Who's choosing between IU and Wisconsin and Kansas and Iowa State and Iowa and Illinois, all over the Midwest. He's a 3-star interior lineman. That was the number 2 player from the state of Wisconsin. Got out of the state of Wisconsin. From player movement to staff movement. So Washington, the Huskies, losing another coach's son from the football staff. Now, this is the day after the Las Vegas Raiders head coach Pete Carroll named Ohio State offensive coordinator Chip Kelly as his own offensive coordinator. Carroll is now hiring his own son, Brennan Carroll, to be the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator. The younger Carroll, he was the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach with the Huskies this past year under Jed Fish. Fish lost another coordinator and a coach's son from his staff a few weeks ago in Steve Belichick. The Huskies defensive coordinator left to join his father, Bill Belichick, at North Carolina. And one other note, yesterday, that was a pretty interesting podcast. I think we always have an interesting podcast, but interesting story how Matt Rhule is pretty much going to cancel the spring game in Nebraska because he doesn't want his players getting discovered and poached. And so while he's down on the spring game, Shiana and Rutgers all over it. Got it booked on the calendar. They're ready to go full steam ahead. They just announced their spring game. It will be Saturday in their home football stadium, April 26th at 3 p.m. They got 11 new players in the transfer portal to show off. So spring football is happening at some places. All right, we got a Peacock triple header tonight for men's basketball. Number 10, Purdue is at Iowa. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern on Peacock. Indiana is at number 17, Wisconsin, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on Peacock. And then the late game on Peacock, number 7, Michigan State at UCLA, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific on Peacock. And that one, of course, if Tom Izzo wins, he will tie Bob Knight for the most Big Ten wins in conference history. There's some other games. Minnesota's at Penn State, 7 o'clock Eastern on the Big Ten Network, followed by their second game of their doubleheader, USC at Northwestern, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on the Big Ten Network. No women's games tonight, but one to keep an eye on. I mentioned this yesterday on Wednesday. Number 8, Ohio State at number 1, and undefeated UCLA, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on Peacock tomorrow night with women's hoops. All right. We always do features at the end of the program. Tuesday, we got Tuesday tweets. That's coming up. We always look forward to that. That's next right here on Locked On Big Ten.